Hi viewers, welcome to the CSTV, where we educate and inform our listeners on cybersecurity awareness. The cybersecurity threat landscape is gradually evolving with the introduction of different malwares day in and day out. Organizations are gradually losing the battle. They are losing the cyber war. As such, cybersecurity needs to evolve. Statistics have proven that by the year 2021, most organizations will have incurred a total cost of $6 trillion on cyber crime damages. And by the year 2021, cybersecurity investment would have shot up not less than $1 trillion. Are we as a nation ready? This is the Cybersecurity TV. I am your regular host, Eric Kwaku Kranche Odai. Welcome back, viewers. Today, we are discussing the topic, evolution of cybersecurity, the threats, challenges, and opportunities. To help me do justice to this topic is on my immediate right, Mr. Osu Bediako, and to my far right is Mr. Michael Kofi. Let me take the opportunity and introduce my guest. Mr. Osu Bediako is a certified cloud security professional, an information security systems manager professional, a certified information systems security professional. He is also a certified in governance of enterprise IT, certified in risks and information systems control, and also a certified information security manager. Not done, Mr. Osu Bediako is also a certified information security auditor and an ISO 27001 lead auditor. He is also the vice president of the ISACA Accra chapter. Welcome, Mr. Osu Bediako.
Thank you.
On my far right is Mr. Michael Kofi, who is also a certified ethical hacker and a computer hacking forensic investigator. Mr. Kofi is also a certified information systems security professional and an EC Council disaster recovery professional. Kofi is also a certified information security manager and a certified information security auditor. Like Osu Bediako, Mr. Kofi is also an ISO 27001 lead auditor and also a private security consultant. Welcome, Mr. Kofi.
Thank you.
Good. Viewers, I'm very privileged to have these two wonderful gentlemen who are sought after speakers when it comes to information security, governance, and assurance. So today I believe we are going to do very justice to the topic, evolution of cybersecurity. I think I would like to start on my far right, my immediate right, with Mr. Bediako. Can you take us through where are we coming from and where are we now when you talk about evolution of cybersecurity?
Thank you very much, Eric. I think I would like to give a brief history as to how cybersecurity threats have evolved over the period. A couple of years back, we started with what is known in the local parlance as Sakawa, which was primarily guys who get into some form of relationship with ladies out there, and then they end up duping them and all that. That was a basic form of Sakawa, but we actually moved away from that. We now moved to where cards were now cloned and used for online transactions and all. Again, we are still in that space, but gradually we are moving away from that as well. Over the last couple of months, especially in Ghana, there was also quite a number of high incidents of mobile money fraud, which was more or less people taking advantage of mobile money users through social engineering attacks and all. But these ones are usually related to individuals, so the effects are usually restricted to how much money an individual has, or the effect is actually confined to an individual. But that has changed over the period. We're actually looking at threats where government institutions are now targeted, where corporate bodies are targeted, institutional data are encrypted. People are now trying to come into extort from hospitals and all. We have actually also moved away from the old forms of the threat, and we are now moving into other areas like the health sector, educational sectors, and all. So, if you look at the threat landscape over the last 10 years, especially related to Ghana, you realize that attacks or threats in the past were restricted to individuals, but this time around, a lot of focus is going on to corporate entities and
Corporates.
corporate bodies. Yes.
Okay, before I come to Mr. Kofi, if I get you right, now it has metamorphosed from changing from attacking individuals to now government or corporate institutions.
Exactly my point.
Now, Mr. Kofi, where are we coming from? Where were we in terms of cybersecurity, and where are we now? At what state? How has this evolution taken place or gone on?
Well, like my colleague here said, we moved from maybe in the late 90s to the early 2000s, where we didn't have to concern ourselves with so much about, the mobile devices that you had, or the laptops, or even your computer. Once in a while, you had an incident of a virus, and a regular antivirus was able to clean it up.
Okay.
But now you've moved to positions where the attack is more focused. The target, or the motivation for the attack is also getting real. It's all about the financial gains the attacker will get, and they are looking out to get your money. So whether you're an individual, you're a corporate, the motivation is the money. So, like he said, the attack moved from individuals where they were targeting small, monies, um, basically employing tricks of social engineering, where they rely on the human traits, the trait of you being kind, the trait of you not being aware of the environment or the situation, and basically tricking you into releasing these funds. But now, where it's gotten to, the attack is on corporate companies. And unfortunately, in our own sector in Ghana, our local environment, this concept, I would say, is still relatively new. So people don't know about community security or what needs to be done to keep yourself protected. The awareness is simply not there. So you basically find a company with a website, they are doing e-commerce, they are basically collecting monies or accepting payments online, and there is absolutely no protection. So basically, someone who is able to understand how these sites or these companies are vulnerable is able to leverage on that with additional, targets like social engineering to get relevant information to be able to collect that information. And today, information is money.
Okay.
Information translates to
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
So the more an attacker knows, the easier it becomes to get that money from you, whether you're a corporate or an individual. I would also say that the attacks on individuals have shifted to individuals who are, if I may, high targets.
I'd like to quickly add one last thing. In terms of the individuals, what's happening is this. If, for instance, you want to actually attack an institution, which is the best way to get into the institution? Is through individuals. If I pick a bank, for instance, definitely there will be a teller there. There will also be a system administrator or an information security person or a Windows administrator. If I actually plan on targeting the corporate, I'll start by targeting the individual.
Exactly.
So the individual we are talking about here is not really about, it's not always about what the person has, but the individual can form the gateway to the bigger.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, Mr. Bediako, can we let me ask you this question. What is the top cybersecurity concern? What should be the top concerns in terms of cybersecurity in today's business?
Okay, it's not a one answer fits all. The kind of business you create actually dictates the kind of cybersecurity threats you are faced with and the kind of investments you need to make. You pick two banks or two schools or two hospitals, but the stakes will totally be different. Bank A will probably have an annual turnover of $20 million. Another bank will have a turnover of about $50 billion. Definitely the cybersecurity constraints will be totally different.
Yeah.
What's happening is quite simple. The kind of business you create the stakes with which you run, the effect if you are breached or a risk crystallizes actually determines the kind of cybersecurity controls or investment you need to make. That's my simple answer.
Okay.
You you typically pick a university. The university is made up of subunits like the finance department, which deals with the cash. There will be another unit related to students' records. In the student records, you definitely find issues regarding grades and all. That's another part. You probably now be looking at another part that takes care of lecturers of the institution. So you pick one university and you realize that the cybersecurity controls or considerations for the finance unit will be different from the library, will
Yeah.
be different from academic affairs, and will be different from staff affairs. You also pick a hospital. There will be the finance part. There will be information related to patients of the hospital and all. And all these are still related to one entity. So as much as possible, the kind of data you process, the stakes with which you run with, the effect if you are breached and all will definitely come together to actually detect the kind of cybersecurity threats you are faced with, the kind of cybersecurity investments you need to make, and the entire cybersecurity governance framework you need to put in place.
Okay, Mike, can you share with us what are some of the cybersecurity threats that we should be aware of?
Okay, to answer that question, I'd like to break it into two.
Okay.
Threats that affect systems,
Okay.
threats that affect humans.
Humans, okay.
So humans play a large role in all of this.
Exactly.
Now, under human, we basically have social engineering. Social engineering, there are a lot of categories there. There's phishing. Phishing refers to, it's like when you go out and you are actually going to fish.
Okay.
You throw your net wide, and any fish that gets trapped in comes to you.
Okay. Okay.
In this case, it's email they use or text messages to your mobile devices, etc. They'll send you something like an email with a document embedded in it, hoping that you would actually activate it. And activating it, you're actually triggering something more than just opening a document. That's phishing.
So is that what normally you get to see receive email and it comes with an attachment,
Exactly.
or within the email body it tells you click on this link.
Exactly.
Okay.
You
Okay.
get it on your SMSs too.
Okay.
Your phones,
Exactly. Exactly.
When you click it, sometimes it's just a picture. But actually, on clicking it, because they need your intervention to make something run in the background. And the more targeted form of that is what we refer to as spear phishing. So spear phishing, they're not targeting everybody. They're not looking at everybody. They're looking at specific people. So, for example, that one requires more skill, more, focus. Because if I'm going to send something to Owusu here, and I want him to get interested in it, I can't just send a general communication. I have to send something that I can be sure that he will be interested in, to either click or do the action that I require of him. That is where the research comes in.
Okay. So if I get you with the threat, we can have human based threat and system based threat.
Yes.
The human based threat, and that's why you are talking about phishing.
Yes.
And phishing, we have various types of phishing.
Yes.
Email phishing, which doesn't necessarily need too much technical. But then with the spear phishing, you need to have a lot of technical know-how.
Not technical know-how. It's still
But you need to be specific
But you need to know
who your target is.
You need to know something
Okay.
about the target.
Okay.
You need to, for example, if he's looking for a school, the message is probably, if we know that if he's looking for a school, but how will we know? We need to research. If he's interested in a certain type of car or a certain type of game, how will I know as an attacker? I need to research. So I will research him. Or in the same way.
So do you know what comes to mind? This spear phishing is just like you going with phishing and using that spear.
Exactly.
Oh, so that is the where the name came from. Spear phishing.
Spear phishing. They're actually looking for a certain specific type of fish.
Fish.
So they don't use a net, they use a spear.
A spear. Okay.
Exactly. And then we have other threats like, the technical side. We have, so this all falls under social engineering.
Social engineering. Okay.
Social engineering, we also have others. For example, I'm coming in, I know you need a badge or a key, and I make it look as if I need some help to help me come in. you know. So probably I'll carry a box coming into the facility, knowing that to get there I need to swipe, or I need to use my badge, or I need to use a key card. But I know that when this man is going in and he sees me carrying the box, our inclination would be to hold the door for him. But exactly what he needed to do was to get in.
To get in.
So you have invariably helped him without even being aware that that is what he was targeting to achieve. So he has bypassed your control.
So please hold on with your submission and thought. I'll come back to you. Viewers, you are still watching the CSTV. We are going for a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You are still watching the CSTV, your authoritative TV show on cybersecurity awareness. Now back to my panelists. Also, we're talking about the threat of cybersecurity. Before you conclude on that, can you also expose my viewers to some of the challenges of cybersecurity?
Okay, so let's go with the threats first. So we spoke about, Michael spoke about the human element, but obviously the vested interest actually determines the kind of threats that are exploited. We also have the bit about nations fighting nations. That's actually the geopolitical threat as well. So I'm sure you are fully aware that one big country, one superpower is fighting another one. One is even claiming that one country influenced the election of the other and all that. So these are some of the threat actors in the cybersecurity space. These are quite global, but then on the individual basis, most of the time you have it can be somebody coming in for monetary gains. It can be competing companies, one trying to sabotage the other, and also, for me, like I said, the driving force behind an attack actually determine the kind of threat that is exploited. Yes.
Okay. No, and what are the challenges?
The challenges in terms of dealing with cybersecurity threats, or the challenges in terms of the business impact if a threat, if a
For now, let's look at the challenges involving dealing with this threat.
okay, that's fine. I think the most important challenge is like they say in terms of technology, there's the people, the process,
Yeah.
and then technology
Technology
itself.
itself.
I think we are all aware that the weakest link is usually the people. So that's where we have the number one challenge. In terms of an entity or a corporate, we can also have challenges regarding obviously investment, the kind of information security investment you need to undertake. So because of the cost considerations, definitely some people cannot put in some controls they are supposed to put in
Okay.
place. Additionally, we have the issue of legal or regulatory frameworks.
Okay.
I know in some countries when it comes to encryption, there's a limit to the kind of the key strength and then the kind of algorithm to use. So
Okay.
these are, I try to look at the challenges in terms of an entity, which will be the people issue, user awareness. There will also be the bit about cost. There will also be the bit about regulations and also these are some of the things we all need to grapple with whilst we make information security investment and decisions.
Okay. So if I get you well, the challenges could be broken down or dissected into one, the people element. Okay. Two, investment. Okay. And three, what was the other one?
It can be legal or
Legal, regulatory.
you can have some challenges.
Okay. Good.
What you have done.
Okay, let me come to you, Mike. What are some of the cybersecurity challenges? Also, has made mention of these three. What other challenges do you have in dealing with this cybersecurity?
Well, for me, he has said a lot, but there's one more that I wanted to add on, and that is the skill. We have a skill issue, and this is a global issue. Skills in understanding cybersecurity, still skill in understanding the risk that it poses. I'm not sure a lot of individuals and companies actually understand to the full extent the impact of cybersecurity threats that we have. A lot of companies take it casually until they are actually hit. I'm sure you've heard a lot of news around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I talk about skill, yes, I'm moving above the general awareness of everybody and moving to the skill in organizations. And for example, one of the ways that you are combating it now is with this program. Skill in being able to sit in an organization and say, irrespective of whether it's big or small, that these are the steps that we need to take to ensure that our posture looks good. And it goes all the way to understanding of the owners and management and shareholders of the companies at large. Um, the understanding and the buy-in from them to, for example, you talked about investment. If the shareholder of the company or the CEO of the company or the executive management of the company don't follow or understand how it impacts their bottom line, there's no way you are going to get that investment you're talking about.
Okay.
So those are some of the challenges. And for the skill issue, it's a global issue we have today.
Okay.
Can I add to it?
Yes, also coming.
One last, and I think Michael touched on it, but I like to delve a little deeper. What's happening is, like a friend said, most firms today are technology firms, but they are focused.
Okay.
So somebody will tell you that a hospital, for instance, is a technology firm. Maybe it's focused on health delivery.
Help delivery, yeah.
Somebody will tell you a bank is a technology firm, but providing banking services. Now, what's happening is investment in technology over the period has been quite high. Strategic focus of most institutions today is to go digital. What's happening is, whilst we go digital, we tend to forget that it comes with its accompanying risk, threat profile changing, and all. And that is where we usually miss it. We push so much into digital agenda. I want to move these services to the cloud. I want to decentralize these services. I want you to have these services on your mobile phone via the internet and all. But most of the time, we forget that by exposing or sending these services to customers, we are exposing the service. So it has to come with its accompanying control investment.
Controls, okay.
What's happening is, you realize that, especially around here, at a very high level, especially at the board level, these days you realize the business guys are there, the technology guys are there. There might be a risk guy, but the risk guy might be the conventional or business risk person. The information security or cyber security risk person or knowledge is usually missing in a lot of boardrooms.
Yeah.
So you realize that a CISO might go saying that I need to spend this amount of money because my threat profile or my security posture has changed with the introduction of these services and all. But somebody at that high level to appreciate what the person is talking about and provide executive buy-in is usually missing. So at the end of the day, you provide the service, you fail to put in control. The service is raking in 10 million a year. Somewhere in November, there's a hack and you lose 10 million. So these days, like I always say, cybersecurity is no longer any other business agenda item as part of board meetings. It's an item that has to feature on the board agenda. It has to be there. And you need management
So,
or senior management.
let me cut you. So, if I understand you, matters of cybersecurity, information security, now is or should be a concern for all the C-suite level.
Yes. Now, Eric, this was happening. I think I'd like to bring it home so I can give you examples. If you pick the Electricity Company of Ghana today,
Yes.
they have quite a number of their meters being centrally managed. That's how come you are able to go to a vending outlet and you buy credit and immediately reflects on your meter. Do you know what that means? That means about, let's just say you have 500,000 meters. What it means is 500,000 meters are available via a particular network because you have servers somewhere talking to these meters. Imagine you don't put in control. There's a breach. Let's just say we are not even talking monetary, but the person is able to come in and then the person can say, "Oh, I want to put up Alajo." The person is able to run a command. The whole Alajo is off. The person comes in, "Oh, I want to put up Jolo." The person puts Jolo up. Do you know the effect of that? Imagine the person says, "Okay, 37. Let me put up 37." The point I'm trying to make is, it's not even about how much the person stands to gain anymore. businesses are putting their services, or the whole concept around technology is changing. So your business is driven by technology. Because your business is driven by technology, there is accompanying cybersecurity risk, and that is where the controls should go.
Should go. Okay.
Now, I'll give you a classic example. Somewhere around Europe, two countries, there was a time where one country is claimed one country was able to put up the power grid of another company, and these are temperate environments, no, really cold environments.
Mm-hmm.
And then another country, or so they claim, was able to put up power for like an entire country. In US, somewhere Dallas, the emergency siren or whatever was activated for like a whole state. People had to run from their homes and all. So cybersecurity concerns today, like I always say, it's not an
No,
aspect of,
and all this were attack.
they are attacks. They are attacks.
It wasn't like the institutions themselves triggered those.
No, and it's not like sometimes they are making money. You see,
Yeah, I guess just to assist,
Okay,
make the point.
Mike, come in.
You know, apart from all these things happening, it could also generate into revenue losses for you. I like the example you gave with the meter. Apart from them saying, okay, we'll turn off Aladdin, they can say, okay, let's
Put it on
reset,
credit.
let's put reset or credit every meter with this amount. What does that imply?
Oh, so people will be enjoying free
Exactly.
power.
Exactly. So these are some of the thinking behind. So you need a control person, an information security person who can sit back before this solution is even coming out. Look at all the possible risks, and they will be the ones who will be able to, come out with all these control points. Because a pure business guy will not understand that. A pure business risk guy might not understand that, or he might understand to an extent. A pure technology guy is only interested in getting the service ready to be delivered to the market.
Okay.
So now, the skill that is missing at the boardroom that he was referring to would be the information security guy or the cyber security guy who understands it and is able to bring it to the table and look, if we don't put it on, if we don't put in these controls, this is what we stand to lose. This is what we stand to. This is the impact that can happen at the end of the day. And it goes as far as even affecting lives.
So, Mike, if I get your submission, then what it means that due to the evolution of cybersecurity, there should be a paradigm shift when it comes to boardroom matters.
Exactly.
We need to carry along
There's no other way.
the CISO issues of cybersecurity must be on agenda,
Exactly.
not an you see gone with the days when
It's not a casual discussion.
it shouldn't be a casual good. It shouldn't be a casual and it shouldn't be any other AOB discussion when it comes to boardroom.
It should be an agenda item, like you mentioned. It should be an agenda item, and if possible, just as we have probably an audit steering committee or a subcommittee overseeing IT, should also have something like that overseeing information security.
Wow.
That's my opinion.
Before I come back to Bediako, during your submission, looking at the challenges, we were talking about skills, lack of some of the challenges. We made mention of adequate or getting the right skills. I was reading something somewhere online, and there was a statement that's a CSO forum on the internet, and they said cybercrime will more than triple the number of unfulfilled cybersecurity jobs, which is predicted to reach 3.5 million by 2021, which means that by 2021 there's going to be over 3.5 million jobs which need to be filled by cybersecurity experts.
Okay, I think I've seen this statistics. Now, I think currently we have about 1.2 million
Shortage of
globally skills, like people. They need about 1.2 million people to fill jobs. Now, today, as we are speaking.
viewers. I think that's an opportunity you need to take. You need to take off. My guests here are now telling you that if you have the passion, the interest, you can consider information security or cybersecurity, because whilst others are complaining of unemployment, cybersecurity or information security is also lacking qualified experts. Mike, go ahead.
So, with these statistics, the 3.5 million that you were referring to, what is happening now is in the cyber attacker world, so the bad guys, it's getting also lucrative because the same skills that they use to attack industries and individuals. Now, it's getting lucrative because if someone can sit somewhere and hack and get the whole revenue of a company to the extent that the company will even be shut down, and there's a group of small individuals, the same skill that is needed, the guy who has the skill now has to simply decide, should I go good or should I go bad? If I go bad, the stakes looks like it's higher. The monies and the remuneration looks like it's higher. These are some of the challenges that we have. And this is how come the statistics is pointing to the fact that in 2021, we might have up to 3.5 million jobs that are unfilled
Okay.
because of this reason.
Viewers will be going for a short commercial break and we'll be right back. You are still watching the CSTV. Thank you for staying tuned. Now back to Michael. We've looked at the threats, we've looked at the opportunities, we've looked at where we were in terms of cybersecurity, how it has evolved. Now, I want to pick your thoughts, both of you, Michael and Usu. What are the impacts of cybersecurity breaches? You can give us incident of what has happened in the past, what has happened recently, both internally within our country and outside our country. And Michael, I would like you to pick. Also, you pick on the corporate and critical network. And Michael, you do the other side of it. So, can you tell us what are some of these cybersecurity breaches?
Okay, so on a personal level, I would say financial loss.
Okay.
Loss of your money is the main item. Lose your money, you can lose your data. Data is money these days. You can lose your identity. So somebody could be using your identity on the internet. You could lose.
Is that what they call identity theft?
That's what they call identity theft.
Okay.
So somebody will be masquerading as you, making payments as you with your probably your card details on the internet. It's all financial loss and identity theft. That's the impact on a personal level.
Okay.
It could also be spying on you.
Okay.
People could be spying on you, listening in on your conversations,
Wow.
phones, taking videos of you whilst you are home, doing more reconnaissance or studying or researching more about you via any of these breaches.
So, but Mike, let me target you. Talking about financial losses being some of the impacts, do Ghanaian companies lose revenue in terms of as a result of cybersecurity breaches?
Yes, they do. They do.
But then we aren't aware.
Yeah, so this is where it gets a bit complicated because for Ghanaian companies or companies generally, there has to be some, motivation for them to announce that, hey, I've been breached, hey, I've lost this amount of money. Otherwise, it doesn't make, if I may, business sense to come out with that kind of information because it's negative. So, yes, they do get breached. Yes, they have ways to recover. Yes, they will have ways to cover it up also. But the only times where they will be able to comfortably come out with those information is when they are required to.
Okay.
And with that, I'm leading towards regulation.
Okay.
Understand what I mean?
Okay.
Yes. So, but on a more national level, some of the impacts, yes, could be data loss from big companies. It could be things like disruption of services. So earlier on, we used the example of the electricity meters in
The ECG. Okay.
and you mentioned certain areas being taken out, for instance.
Okay.
But have you considered, for instance, in a hospital where a medical procedure is going on and suddenly they lose the actions of the equipment in use? It's
Wow.
a power loss.
No.
But the equipment seems to fail, or they are not responding, or they are probably looking at, monitoring activity on a computer that suddenly becomes inactive.
Inactive.
Suddenly, hangs, as we call it. What the impact could be to the person who is lying on the operation
Wow.
table. So it's that bad. So it could also lead to loss of lives. It could also lead to, other issues like people losing monies generally over uh, um, big incidents that affect, say, financial institutions.
Okay.
That also is one impact that could happen. And
Mike, let me come back to you. Hold on. Also, let me pick your thought on some of the impact of this cyber security breaches or attack.
Your data is hosted by an entity.
Okay.
We have regulations. We have the Data Protection Act. I know that GDPR is coming up very soon, but if you PCI DSS, some of these standards are there. If there's actually a breach and you are found culpable, or maybe there was a control you were supposed to put in place that you didn't, obviously you'll be fined.
Yeah. Okay.
The other thing has to do with confidence in the brand. Today, I'm not too sure about going to say with a bank that you are well aware was breached, or in quotes, they have a weak security posture or kind of governance framework in place. So, with breaches, for instance, it can actually affect your brand. One thing Michael mentioned, which is revenue loss. Obviously, if you are breached, you are had monies leave your entity and all that. Definitely, it's going to affect the bottom line. For entities like hospitals, insurance companies, their impact is felt in a different way, because if I'm actually, my health data is supposed to be kept safe by a hospital and it's out there, I can sue. And when you are sued, obviously there will be some monetary considerations and also, all in all, the impact of such breaches, they vary based on the kind of industry an entity operates in, the kind of data the entity processes, and all of that. But ultimately, the effect of data breaches they are not really pleasant. Somewhere last year, we heard about Equifax, where
Yeah.
they, they,
Equifax.
they, they knew of a breach. They reported about some months later. I think most of the top guys in the firm actually went home because, as per regulations, if you are breached, you're supposed to report within a particular time frame. So these are some of the impacts when it comes to breaches. Where you have proper regulations in place, like Michael said. Anyway, for information, in terms of figures, I know of figures when it comes to the amount of money some of the financial institutions lost. I think it's in one of the Bank of Ghana reports, because as per regulation, these are things you have to report to the central bank. If you also look at the Financial Intelligence Center, for instance, there's some information you also that needs to be sent there.
Also, let me cut in. These are incidents you need to report to the central bank. But then let me ask: are these incidents reported in this part of our world?
To the best of my knowledge, I can confidently say I have seen reports from the central bank to the effect that some of these breaches or some of these losses were reported. The bigger question is, was it everything that was reported?
Okay.
But the truth is, especially even in the advanced world, I'm not too. That's why I give the example of Equifax, where a breach was actually noticed a couple of months back, and then it took them about 3 months or 4 months or maybe 6 months before it was reported to the body, that kind of thing. So the point is, again, when it comes to regulation, people will tell you we have the best regulations. I always insist that enforcing the regulation is a problem. You look at the Data Protection Act, for instance, it's clear. Data processor is supposed to do this, data controller is supposed to do this. If this happens, this was to happen. But today, I'm sure a lot of companies have actually registered with the Data Protection Commission. But what happens after that? Is there a framework in place that says that on an annual basis, the Data Protection Agency will send auditors to go and check with firm A? You are supposed to have the following controls in place. You have them in place, just like it's done for PCI DSS. Or on an annual basis, either a QSA comes in or you have an internal security assessor actually looks at the kind of controls you are supposed to put in place, and then writes or that's a report to a body saying that I have reviewed this company against the following standards or controls and they have passed. But those are the kind of things we are talking
Okay,
about.
gentlemen, we'll be wrapping up, but then let me pick your thoughts. Looking at, with all this background you've shared with us, looking at this evolution, okay, let's look at our environment. I mean, Ghana, okay? Let me give you a typical. Recently, we were the Russians in the US just passed election. the Russians were being accused of interfering with the U.S. Last election. Okay, come back home to Ghana. Let's look at our election. We started by using opaque ballot boxes. It came to a metamorphose or evolve into transparent ballot boxes. Now we've gone biometric. I don't know. We might end up going electronic voting one day. Are we? I wouldn't say are we safe, but then what are we? Would you get to the point where we might be faced with some of these scenarios that happens at the, are we ready as a nation? Looking at cybersecurity, do we have what it takes to combat cybersecurity?
Well, for me, to a large extent, I would say that
I mean, do you have what it takes to combat cyber attacks in terms of cybersecurity?
generally speaking, I would say there's a lot we need to do
Okay.
to become ready. I would say we are not ready because we have some of what it takes, but we need to strategize properly and focus on a clear direction of how we want to go about it. Yes, we'll get there. We can even get there today. If we want to do elections and all these electronic votings and all that, yes, it's possible. But like we have, alluded to previously, you have to do it under advisement. There needs to be the proper controls. Once the proper controls is in place, you can do whatever you want to do. Mind you, the art or the subject of information security is not to prevent you from doing what you want to do as a business or an entity. It is just to help you to do it in a secured manner. So that
Okay.
at the end of the way, there's no losses. You reduce your vulnerability to breaches, and you can confidently say, I've taken the necessary steps that I know to ensure that I don't fall victim to certain things. But I would like to sound a warning also. You cannot, on 100% level, say, I'm ready 100%, I can prevent everything.
Okay.
The target is usually to reduce the possibility of breaches, or if a breach should occur, to reduce the impact to your
Impact.
business or your entity.
Okay.
That's the mindset.
Okay. Finally, also let me pick your thoughts. What should we do differently as a nation or as individuals? What should we be doing differently in terms of cybersecurity so that we can either reduce, avoid, or eliminate most of these breaches attack?
Okay, for individuals, the most important thing is education.
Education.
Michael will tell you that security education or security awareness is the number one thing you have to do if you need your employees, your citizenry to be well abreast in information security issues, know how to act if they are breached, know who to report to, and also education is key, or security awareness is key. As a nation, I know we have the cybersecurity policy or strategy. Somewhere last year, September or October, there was a cybersecurity week. There were some action items that were supposed to be put in place by specific dates. I just hope we are going by that and we are meeting those targets. But I know there's a clear framework or a strategy document as to what we need to do. There was actually one item where the government was supposed to set up the incident response center. I'm hoping that has been done. I know a lot of government business has been, in quotes, digitized,
Okay.
where we have NISA
Okay.
providing a lot of e-governance services
Okay.
to a lot of entities, the civil service,
Okay.
ministries, accountant, general department, and also information security or cyber security around all these services will need to be considered as part of the cyber security policy framework.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Finally, Michael, let me pick your thoughts. What should we do differently? What should we do differently? And how should we combat cybercrime, cyber war, cyber warfare, cyber attack? Can you do that in just a minute?
Okay, like we've alluded to, this training, education, putting the right measures in place. By right measures, what we mean is, if you have, let me go practical. If you have if you have a service, get someone to do an assessment for you, get the right controls in place, make sure there are no vulnerabilities on them, make sure you have the right education, make sure you have the right people on your staff to help you. If you do not know, call on somebody who knows for help. There are various avenues to do that, and always be vigilant. Don't go clicking on email attachments that you receive or links that you receive. There should be some, focus on security awareness training for everybody.
Okay.
Everybody in general.
Okay.
Throw more light on what.
Okay. Viewers, this discussion is becoming interesting, but then we've run out of time. And we've been discussing the evolution of cybersecurity, threats, opportunities, and challenges. We were privileged to have Osei Osubediaku, a seasoned cybersecurity expert, IT governance and risks advisor. And on my far right is Michael Kofi, also a seasoned cybersecurity expert, who helped us to do justice and really analyze this topic. We'll meet the same time next week. You'll be watching the Cybersecurity TV.